Yes, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are trying to learn more about disk cloning. Now, in the very first case, we need to know what is disk cloning, and before we can dive further. So actually, a disk cloning simply refers to the transfer of programs, applications, files, or the operating systems from one storage media to another, or it might be from one partition on the local, let's say local disk C to local disk D. Now, this cloning is carried out necessarily without affecting the functionality of the programs. For instance, as you know, let's take it that you're shifting the operating system which was installed on your partition of the hard disk drive, that's local disk C, and you want it to shift to and operate from local disk D. Now, which means this transfer should not affect its performance, and so we do not expect loss of data. For safety reasons, as we shall see ahead there must be a backup of your storage, your data, before you can go ahead and perform what you call disk cloning. Excuse me. There are reasons that's why we do disk cloning in the very first case. For instance, insufficient storage. For instance, on the local disk C. Assuming to shift my files from the local disk C to local disk D, what can compel me to do that? If maybe I realize that the storage on the local disk C is very small and it cannot really sustain the smooth running of my system. So for that, I have to carry out disk cloning. Considering my local disk C, as you can see here. This is my local disk C. In most cases, when the storage is almost full, you'll see when it is turned red. That red indicates that the disk is either completely full or almost full. And in most cases, when it's almost full or when it's full, the system will always develop issues like freezing, and then it will be very slow in its performance. So we can eliminate that by carrying out disk cloning. Secondly, we can do that in case someone needs to upgrade from the hard disk drive to the solid state disk. In this case, we have like we would wish to change from this hard disk drive. As we know, this kind of technology is quite slow, more especially when it comes to performance as compared to the SSD. So one may wish to upgrade from this one, which is a bit slower, to the other one, which is a bit faster in terms of performance. Then another thing, in case someone realizes failures on the existing drive on which programs are installed and running. So let's say the local disk C has issues and you'd like to fix that. So you can fix that simply by carrying out what you call disk cloning to ensure that the programs and the operating system which you've installed cannot be lost due to the permanent failure of the existing drive. Then the other reason is the need for backup. For instance, if cloning is like you're creating a replication of what is existing on the other storage, which means you have a duplicate of everything you've been doing on the other local disk. So for instance, I have my files and programs running from local disk C, and would wish to be backed up or create a certain kind of storage whereby I can have two or a duplicate of whatever I've been doing. So what I do, I create a backup for it by cloning, maybe to another storage. It could be a storage media like a flash or another local disk or another hard drive, as we saw earlier on. So those are the reasons. That's why we do what we call this cloning. Now in the very first case, or to dive in further, there are precautions you have to undertake before you can carry out that. Number one, back up any information or data that is needed in the system. For instance, we cannot do without knowing it at the back of our mind that there are instances where you can clone and certain data may be lost due to the process of transfer. So it's always recommendable for you to back up any important data. Then secondly, you check the storage media compatibility. Like we saw here, what do you mean by the compatibility here? For instance, you can see my local disk C here has been allocated a total storage of 149 GB, and the local disk D has a total of 314 GB. So assuming my files here had filled up the 149 GB and I was to clone this disk to disk D, the very first thing you consider is look at the storage. The source is this and the destination is this, where you're taking the files and programs. So in any case, you have to clone only when the destination has a bigger capacity that it can accommodate all the files that you're going to transfer. So what happens in case the destination folder or the destination disk has less storage? It will pop up and do not permit the cloning process. So just as you know, let's take it in a simple way that this is a small shoe and this is a big shoe. I can insert this into this, or this a small leg, it can be inserted into a big leg. But in the other case, you can see that in case this storage is bigger and this one is smaller, then automatically they can't be compatible, and so you can't carry on the cloning process. Okay, so this is what I've been trying to talk about. Then the other thing is to determine the type of account in use before. Now, as we know, every system has its user accounts that are running on that system accounts, and you realize that in most cases user accounts have less privileges, and so they are denied access to perform certain functionalities. For instance, they can be only given the read privilege instead of full control. So in that case, you realize that a user using that account may not be permitted to clone. So it is also very important to put in consideration that. So we can actually dive into the process. I'm gonna use the is as partition master, and actually okay. Okay, so we're gonna use the is as partition master as the software for that kind of arrangement. And It'll allow me to start it instantly here. Oops. Okay, there we are. So I would just in this tutorial we are just going to look at how the whole process runs, though we may not complete because I wouldn't wish to really perform that on my disk. It doesn't have issues. So over here we're going to see okay. Yeah, the system is just loading. That's why I find that it's slowing a bit down. Okay. Okay, so this is our display when my ESUS partition master opens. So I would like to clone, and what am I going to clone? If I click on the disk clone, I'm particularly going to shift whatever is on one partition local disk C to partition D. So I go for the last option, clone partition. So what I do here, I will click that and navigate to next over there. Okay, so these are my partitions and ouch. Alright, so this is my local disk C, and I would like to transfer all the information which is on this, all the data which is on this to local disk D. So I will come to that local disk C, check it, click next, and then it will tell me select a destination partition you want to clone to. So in this case I want to clone it to local disk D. So I click next. Now it will tell me that clone will permanently wipe out all data on the selected partition, and for this case I wanted to keep my data on local disk D, so it's like prompting me to clean out this. That's why it is safer to always clone data, to clone any piece of information to a disk that is completely free, or probably with very little kind of data stored there. Secondly, we consider what is existing on that data, that disk. So in this case, you realize that my disk could be probably having a bigger portion of files which are stored there, and so when I transfer the information from the local disk C, it is a bit of a bigger volume, so that's why it is prompting to wipe out all this. So if the storage was enough, I would just click next, and then automatically my files will be transferred from local disk C to local disk D. That is how the entire process of cloning occurs. So after completing this, you're supposed to start the RPC. You restart such that in case you transfer the operating system to the other disk, then you have to boot from the hard drive where you have transferred those windows. Thank you for watching. That has been a simple tutorial on how to clone the